Well, Biz is still in.
You'll go get the trail.
Beanie that I talked about when he retires. So we'd be between our kids. Well, later, whatever. It's so windy. And that's like I said.
I said they're the ones that make me look
Oh,
good.
yeah. Y'all have so much knowledge. Carol's not changed to be take care of her.
We got together on other circumstances.
This was my mama.
Not sure if I remember that picture. Is that mom was like 14 years old?
I think so.
I was just saying, excuse me for coughing.
Come to love and appreciate.
Always caring, always thoughtful, always. And she always kept herself up. No matter what. I think that's why.
I want to look after you. That losing stuff, thank you.
And like, so they see it different.
That's okay, he's got a 3-year-old children.
More like brothers.
Albert, thank you so much for coming.
Because they took care of his.
Airman John McGee lost his life at the age of 19 during World War II in a mid-air collision. But he left us with a beautiful sonnet called High Flight. He wrote, "Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you've not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung. High in the sunlit silence, hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long delirious burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace where never lark or even eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, reached out my hand and touched the face of God." Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Thomas. It's my privilege to be the senior pastor here at First Baptist McDonough. It's a privilege to be Linda and Bill's pastor here. It's a privilege to know Miss Reba Woodie a little bit, and we kept up with her through her daughter, our friend. Linda and Bill are devout members of our fellowship, dearly loved. And so we really felt like we knew Reba maybe more than we actually did. Reba's favorite verse was, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And so today, we will do that. We will rejoice. We will honor her and say goodbye to Reba Nell, who slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God. You know, the name Reba tends to conjure up the image of a Grammy Award-winning country music singer. But not today. Reba McEntire is also Reba Nell, but we have the original Reba Nell, and that is who we celebrate today. This afternoon we've gathered to pay tribute to her, to celebrate her life, to say thanks to God who not only gave us this beautiful gift in Reba Nell, but who also gave his own life so that Reba could live forever. Reba Nell Hall Woodie was 85, of McDonough, Georgia. She passed away Monday, April 3rd, 2017. She was born in Elmore County, Alabama, to the late John Howard and Virgie Mae Matthews Hall. Reba was an Air Force wife who followed her husband for 23 years across the globe wherever he was assigned to serve. They raised 6 children. Hello. Something to celebrate. And she and her husband retired from military life. They moved back to Montgomery, where she joined the base supply team at Maxwell Air Force Base, retiring as a funds manager. She enjoyed the last 5 years as a resident of McDonough to be near her children. She is preceded in death by her infant son, Richard Dale Woodie, her parents, her husband, Lloyd C. Woodie, and one brother, Forrest W. Hall. She enjoyed life, to say the very least, mostly spending that time with her family and friends, or fussing over her sweet little Chihuahua mix named Sophie. She loved to talk politics, cared for her flowers, played pinochle every chance she got, was an avid reader, loved watching a good movie, especially if Rock Hudson and James Dean was in it, from what I understand. She loved to find new recipes, take weekly trips to the beauty shop as any true Southern Magnolia would, and she enjoyed watching Fox and Friends every single morning. When it has all been said and done, though, Reba Nell gave her life to Jesus, trusting Him for love and strength in this life and in life everlasting. She's survived by her 6 children, Michael and his wife Ann Woodie of McDonough, Georgia, Linda and her husband Bill, William Cooley of McDonough, Georgia, Stephen and his wife Carolyn Woodie of Helena, Alabama, Barry and his wife Jan Woodie of McDonough, Georgia, Mark Woodie of Nashville, Tennessee, Keith Woodie of McDonough, Georgia, 2 brothers, Larry and his wife Patricia Hall of Madison, Alabama, and John A. and his wife Martha Hall of Pelham, Alabama. She is also survived by 11 grandchildren, and this is the real kicker right here, 22 great-grandchildren. Amazing. You can see why she loved life. You can see why she loved family. With a host of nieces and nephews and cousins. I don't need to tell you that she loved every single one of you, having given you her unconditional love and support. But we do think of unconditional love because it did seem to typify the life of Reba Nell. But where did she find it? Who was her inspiration? Well, 2,000 years ago, Jesus, before he turned himself over to earthly authorities, he sits down with his disciples to tell them of his imminent departure. And having listened to their concerns and fears of life without him, he said this, and it's recorded in John chapter 14. As we begin, I wanted to read it. For this is where she found her source of unconditional love. Jesus says to them, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You trust in God, so trust also in me. For in my Father's house are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. And I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that where I am, there you may be also. And so now, from now on, you know the way to the place where I am going." And Thomas, who's been called a doubter, I just call him a healthy skeptic, to be honest with you, but he says, "We don't know the way to where you are going. How could we possibly know how to get there?" And Jesus said, "Thomas, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." So today, as we begin, we're going to cry. Yes, we're going to laugh together. Let us celebrate and pay tribute to Reba. That is certainly what she would have wanted. And let us also thank God, not only for Reba, but that Jesus came to earth. He came to die, that we might be forgiven, and through this forgiveness be granted the joys of eternal life, where Reba now resides. Would y'all join me in prayer as we begin? Heavenly Father, as we just prayed with the family, Lord, we just pray for them once again, and we pray your perfect peace in their lives. We thank you for this long and beautiful life in Reba Nell, 85 years, so blessed. was her life, and so blessed to have known her. The impact, the legacy that she leaves behind her today is truly remarkable, Lord. And we know that her source of inspiration for so much of her life was in living out the Christian faith she read about in your word. The love that she discovered from you, who would send your Son to die to save her soul. Because of that faith in you, she now has this beautiful, everlasting home in heaven. We take great comfort in that. We take great comfort from your word and from these beautiful hymns of the faith that we'll sing today in honor of her, these pictures that we will share together of her life. Lord, we pray that all of this would be not only a tribute to Reba Nell, but to you, her God, who created her and designed her in such a special way, unique in many ways, and also reminds us of so many who've gone before. But we thank you for Reba Nell today. Pray your blessings on the lives of these families who've gathered, and these friends who've gathered to celebrate her. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
day to you, family. These flowers are beautiful. They don't compare to that garden. So I encourage you, take them, look at them, and think about the garden that she's in today.
It's always great from time to time to hear from family and friends who would like to just share a memory, a thought, something that reminds you of Reba, something that would encourage everyone. And so we want to open that up to whoever would like to do that. I know, Linda, maybe you guys have talked it around with family as to who might be willing to share. If you do, we'd like for you to come forward, if you would. I know that's intimidating, but if you could come forward, and we want to provide you a microphone. We want everybody to hear you. So who would like to start? Anybody? All right.
I was asked to read the memories of my sister, Valerie Hall. Recollection of Reba, my only sister, don't resonate in my mind until I was about 6 years old. That's probably because I was born 1 week before she and Woodie tied the knot. I was the youngest in attendance. During my childhood, she lived in Fairbanks, Alaska, Lubbock, Texas, Goldsboro, North Carolina, Fort Walton Beach, Warner Robins, Georgia, Anchorage, Alaska, and San Antonio, Texas. But my memory was always home. While she followed Woodie around the nation, she was also busy having children, a total of 7 between 1950 and 1968. To say she had her hands full is an understatement. One memory that sticks out in my mind is when she lived in Anchorage. On March 27, 1964, Good Friday, the Great Alaskan Earthquake struck Anchorage. While Woodie was at work at the base hospital, Reba and her 5 children were in their mobile home when the earthquake began to shake and split. Her first priority was to locate the children and make sure they were all safe until the quake and the tremors had stopped. Parts of Anchorage were devastated, and for days my mom and dad had no way to contact them. The Red Cross intervened and made contact with Woodie, who assured them they were all okay. To hear Reba retell it so calmly is a testament to her strength and character. In 1969, she moved back to Montgomery, 5 kids in tow, and a dog named Rinky. She rented a house there as Woodie began preparing for retirement from the Air Force. Soon afterward, they bought a home that became the welcome center for all the family gatherings. Everyone loved going to their house and found any reason to go. The gathering spot was the kitchen where we shared laughter, memories. Reba loved to make memories, and that's pretty much where Tony and I raised our sons. Everyone looked forward to going to Aunt Reba's. Many of the fondest memories involved the Brightwood Drive house. Reba has been called many names: Snook, Reeves, Mom, Aunt Reba, aka Aunt Donna, Miss Woodie, Grandma, and Gigi. No matter what you called her, you knew she was an avid reader, a fabulous cook, a fabulous fashionable dresser, very proper and true Southern belle. She was Miss Manners, a feisty fireball, and very outspoken when necessary. She handled the tragedies life brought her, the deaths of an infant child, her father, her husband, her mother, and several weeks ago our brother Wayne. But she never lost her remarkable character, her infectious smile, and her caring nature. She loved to laugh and did so often. As I close, I think she'd want us to remember all of our pregnant ideas, especially our Christmas celebrations, and the warmth of family gatherings and a laugh instead of tears when we think of her. Sis, I'll always love you. Larry Buglett. Now I'd like to share a few of mine. Wow, my gosh. I've had 42 years of memories with her. That's almost my whole life. Reba was more like a sister than a sister-in-law. We had good times, we had bad times. We laughed and we cried. Christmases, wow. Food, she could put out a spread. You know, caroling, whether it be at the nursing home, whether it was in the neighborhood. opening presents. Never started till midnight opening the first present. Girls shopping trips, going to look at Christmas lights in our pajamas. Cookouts. Well, we'd have them at the lake, we'd have them in the backyard, have them out by my pool. Girls getaways, Helen, Georgia, Gulf Shores, cruises, shopping trips, and pajama parties. And of course, WWW, Wild Woody Weekends. Reba encouraging me to try new foods. I still don't like coconut. I probably never will. What a beautiful angel we have above us. I love you and I'll miss you so very much.
Someone else, would you like to share? I can wait longer than you can. All right, here we go. Brave soul, all right. Come on, buddy.
Y'all bear with me. Growing up in the Woodie family, we were all privileged to have had an overabundance of life, laughter, and love. From the house on Bridlewood to the garden home at Sutton Place, even her little nook of an apartment right around the corner from here at Metal Art, you could always find these three things. Like the two blue couches she still has in her apartment, our memories of sweet Gigi, and having her in our lives will most certainly live on forever. The Lord knows there are enough pictures and stories to help remind us. Some of my fondest memories of my childhood are all in some way linked to the big, beautiful house in Bridlewood. I'm sure you'll hear a lot about that house. Not only was it cool that my granny and granddaddy Freeman lived like 5 minutes away, I always thought it was pretty neat knowing my mom and dad grew up in the same areas they were taking us. I loved hearing Gigi's stories of where our parents went to school, how all of our parents met, where they all got married in town, how our family intertwined, and why exactly the Hall boys called her Aunt Reba when all us Woodie kids were calling her Grandma Reba. Stories of our dads growing up were nothing short of legendary. Like the time she told me of how Biz was knocked out cold from a bike accident. He went missing for a couple hours only to just stumble home. Only to stop and have her explain to me yet again why Biz was actually called Biz. My dad's attempts to impress my mom by riding his bike off the high dive into the pool blew my mind. Who does that? I'm pretty sure she also had a hand in keeping the dreaded soap salad stories alive and scaring us kids for years to come. I can remember the time she explained to me that the living room we later shared our first Christmas of oohs and ahs because of all of Mimi's totes was actually the front of the house. She literally walked away, leaving me speechless as I stared at the newly discovered actual front door. I think I even asked out loud, well, how come nobody ever uses it? Then I suddenly remembered the only person I had ever seen use that front door was Santa Claus. The smell of breakfast always seemed to come way too early when you got the pull-out couch in the middle room. After laying there all night trying to listen to the adults' conversation and laughing until all was quiet except the ticking of the cuckoo clock. Trying to play pool like the big guys, it was fun until the day I found an unoccupied can skull that I wanted to see what it smelled like and inadvertently snorted a good-sized pinch right up my nose. Which brought a lesson from Gigi of not sticking my nose where it didn't belong. There were Gigi's early morning curlers and her love of clowns. Both kind of creeped me out, actually. To the endless games of Pinochle, a card game to this day I swear the Woodies invented. I've never understood it, let alone see or hear of anyone else ever playing it. And I only tried to play it once. I was more into trying to figure out that stupid little double nail brain teaser and why I could never figure out how to get it locked and unlocked. The sweet picture of Uncle Keith on the wall above the couch, the one where he looks like a combo of Maverick and Elvis, even managed to crack a crooked grin the day Gigi came into the room while I was binge watching Top Gun on VHS. And the love scene happened to be on. I was 7 or 8, mind you. I got the classic double name calling in her high-pitched voice. Adam, Woody, I don't think you need to be watching this. Why don't you find something to read instead? Later on in life, she told me she should have slapped my face. But man, was there plenty to read. I swore that bookshelf had 1 million books on it. I could stand here and tell stories all day about the magnolia tree, the epic wiffle ball games we played, the time I actually found an Easter egg, a real one, several months after Easter, the family reunions at Lagoon Park, and how it never failed that some of us came representing our crimson and white or our blue and orange. I still don't know if she ever even cared for one side or the other. Or the awesome fact that we got to spend Christmases on the beach of Gulf Shores. None of it would have been possible without Gigi. We are blessed with a very large family who, despite our busy lives and busy schedules and ever-growing families of our own, who still find the time to reach out to one another and show our love. Our matriarch may finally be dancing with Pop in heaven, but you can rest assured they're both smiling down at us all, big, proud, wonderful smiles, knowing that if all you need is love, we have it thanks to them. From the Coolies, the Vincents, the Sadlers, the Halls, the Bakers, the Cimarolis, and anyone else whose life has been touched somehow, some way, by our precious and beloved Gigi. She will be missed, but know she was proud and truly loved us all. So to honor her, let's keep living, keep laughing, and keep loving. Rest in peace, our newest guardian angel.
Someone else? All right. It takes great courage to follow that. I mean, we're pulling.
I thought I had more courage when you were being funny, and so I'm going to focus on that because I'm not ready for tears. Or falling. Trying to think of what to say is hard, especially when you're told you only have 3 to 5 minutes. At first I thought, oh, no problem. But there's so much to think about. She was a fabulous person, a grandma. I'm just going to try to focus on what I wrote. She will live in my memory as having a heart so big that she made each person in her family and beyond feel very special. She gave joy by spreading joy. I have so many cards and notes, Facebook posts of sweet, encouraging praise from her that I will always cherish. She was a Southern lady, and I explained to my daughters the difference because she said, well, yes, she's female. Well, there's a difference between being a woman and being a lady. And I told them about her discipline, how she was so welcoming. She certainly had that Southern hospitality. She had always wanted to look her best. She had a flair, lipstick and scarves. And Kirsten probably said it better than I could. She said, she was fancy. And I said, I'm going to use that. You're right. Gigi, she was fancy. She modeled the way for her kids and her grandkids. She loved her country. She would defend her principles. She believed in hard work and dusting yourself off when you fall and getting up and trying again. She was there to lend a hand to those who needed to be lifted up. And if you didn't do the best or follow her advice, she loved you anyway. You were safe to come to her house. She would never turn away from anyone. She had fun, and we had fun with her. My girls are 6 and 9, and they will always keep us doing the 12 days of Christmas. and the antics that go with that. We will continue to have tea parties and exchange Scarlett O'Hara, kitty cat. We will think of her. Gigi, I guess I want to close with, a few other thoughts. I was reading a booklet. I know she has so many memories, but I picked up the one about Sophie. And she just loves the little things in life. She talks about Sophie and her strange character sometimes, and that she needed a doggy psychiatrist. She would laugh at silly things like roads, the names of roads. In directions, she would say, Jake Bird Alley, who names? She said Southern people were just so funny. Gigi, please know that you have loved us well. And we were paying attention to all the little things that you have coached us on. I will only dust if I must. We will take care of each other. So don't worry about us. I know she always worried who was going to take care of, somebody who's fallen if she wasn't there. Well, we've got each other. We'll take care of each other for you. In the meantime, until we see you again, may the Lord hold you in his arms and love you forevermore.
Anyone else? Man, that was amazing. Thank you so much for your stories and your memories. They say, is there somebody else? Oh, good. Yeah, come on.
All right. That's great.
Can't see these days. So I had the privilege of spending quite a bit of time with my grandmother after she moved to McDonough. And last week, with our escapades in the hospital, she and I got to spend some unchaperoned time together. And wow, she's a funny lady. So she asked me, what do you remember? And there are a few of us in the audience that will understand when I can hear her in my head saying, Woody, quit giving those babies beer. I remember her grits and her cheese toast right after we had to sing. Who wants to sing? Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Nobody else was happy in the morning, just her. I remember her baiting my fish hook with a live cricket, teaching me to fish with a cane pole. I still can't hold a live cricket. I remember a handwritten phone list from the back of the phone book, on the wood panel, and stuck in the door frame, in her neat little handwriting. I remember the magnolia bombs, the wars with the magnolia bombs. She would chase us out of the limbs, and we were busy throwing those magnolia bombs behind her back. Sausage balls for Christmas, just watching her kind of knead those sausage balls. I can't count the number of times that I saw her just in the middle of chaos, sitting at the kitchen table, painting her fingernails. Her nails always looked good. She never had a chipped nail, didn't matter what was going on. And last week, she was asking me about class, and I said, I have to write a sonnet. She's like, what are you going to write about? I was like, I don't know. Well, apparently she and my mom and Jan started talking about it. My mom didn't know what a sonnet was. She would name a poet, and Reba chimes in, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. But she got it. So I turned in a draft of my sonnet, and I told her that I'd read it to her when I was done, and I wasn't done until about yesterday. So here it is. Tiny fists clasping your fingers, trusting you to hold me. Your hands over mine, steerer of my skates on a crack walk, knowing you would catch my fall. Your hands, smaller than mine, strolling campus, a bright May morn, hoping you were right, those pearls I earned. Your hands cover mine, a blue bundle born. He clasps your hands as did I. My concern, my hands as capable, your hands in mine, so frail, polished with love, so you trust my God. Your hands, so soft and still, reaching high, heaven's windowsill. Rest now, and kiss goodbye. Your hands, love I learned, waiting among men to hold hands again. Heavenly Host, amen.
I'm a little slow. Did y'all catch that she wrote that? That is amazing. Is there anyone else who would like to share? All right, come on.
I don't normally do this, but I would be remiss if I didn't get up to honor Miss Woodie. Do y'all remember when you moved to Bridlewood? What year was that? 69. I was 11 years old. So I've known y'all for 48 years. Wow. I remember when Steve and Carolyn started dating. I remember when Barry and Jan started dating. The testimony of the length of your marriages is directly reflected from Reba and Woodie. What a strong family commitment. And for the ones of you who didn't make it, I'm there with you. There's no shame in them not working out. But a couple of things that I remember. So I live catty corner from them. And I was on Cambridge Road. They were on Broadway. They were on the corner. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table and with chaos galore. So I'm an only child. Still was and still am an only child. That doesn't change. Well, in some cases it does, but not in mine. And to have, I think Mike had gone by then, but there were 5 kids at home. And it was like a completely different world for me, from my little house and one child to go in there. And I do remember several have mentioned Christmas. When Christmas Eve, it was like the air had been sucked out of the neighborhood because everybody was at the Woodie house, or everybody that I played with was at the Woodie house, and the doors were shut because you couldn't, you weren't. I don't think I was allowed in. I may have said, "Can I come?" And she said, "No, this is for family," and that was okay. I appreciate that, and I'm sure she was whipping on y'all with something. I don't remember what it was, but maybe a wooden spoon or her hand or something. But she was keeping y'all all in line. But with all the chaos, I have this sense of her just sort of floating through it all without much ado. She would do what she had to do to keep y'all straight. And I've posted in Facebook that y'all all gave her a run for her money, and especially Woodie. And that's maybe how she learned how to keep y'all in line from dealing with Woodie. But just being in control all the time. And we've been Facebook friends, if you can imagine. I don't know anybody that's in their 80s that's on Facebook. And she just took it in stride. And for the grandkids and great-grandkids, what a family heritage that you had to carry on. So, and for smaller families, you lose touch with family. You'll never have that. And you're going to have that memory and love of the people that have passed before you. Bless y'all.